Welcome to SVG TV News for Friday, February 17th, 2023. I am Rochelle Dutis with the details. The 50 homes which the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has purchased from Duraville Homes, Guyana, have already been earmarked for communities in the red and orange zones. This is according to Acting Prime Minister and Area Representative for North Windward, Montgomery Daniel, who on NBC Radio face-to-face program earlier this week said 20 of the homes will go to North Windward, 20 to North Leeward in the red zone, and the remaining will go to communities in the orange zone.
So we are hoping that within 1 month we are able to, 1 month's time, we are able to get the foundations going and to be able to have the importation of the materials coming into St. Vincent. I know it's challenging, but already we have been identifying the lots. In Orange Hill, we have already identified those lots. In North Leeward, we have already identified most of the lots.
Okay.
And in the orange zones, of course, presently, with the assistance of the Chief Surveyor, we are having those lots identified.
Last month, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves signed a $6 million EC loan agreement with Demerara Bank Limited, Guyana, for the purchase of the 50 prefab houses from Duraville Homes, Guyana. PM Gonsalves noted that the houses, which are being purchased at a competitive 5% interest rate to the government, are of good quality and durability, and that personnel from Duraville will come to St. Vincent to aid in the assembling of the house, as well as train local artisans in the process. Also on radio on Wednesday, Minister Daniel spoke of structures being set up in areas not deemed fit for the operation, creating a nuisance for others. The acting Prime Minister said he is scheduled to meet on Thursday. Well, he was scheduled to meet on Thursday with the police, the physical planning department, and the office of the chief engineer to deal with the issue.
Which, of course, these are the entities to which have to come together, to work together, to see how we can reduce these challenges. Because the police, of course, has to assist in the maintaining law and order. And the question is asked whether or not if the present legislation is effective or not, or whether or not we need to strengthen the legislation, or whether or not we need better supervision and manpower to carry out the work that is required. You know, one night, approximately 4 o'clock, I got a call. Well, you could say early morning. That there is what they call the blocker on the road, which appears to be a regular feature on a once-a-month basis.
Okay.
And there are elderly people living along the roadway, and whether or not anything can be done to reduce the troubling noise for a consistent pounding for 7-8 hours. The Noise Act is there, and as I was made to understand, many of these activities, you have police who are employed to
security,
help to keep the security. And so it is worrying if you have, you know, security on hand and this matter continues to prevail. So, you know, it's, as I say, whether or not if it's an attack on law and order, or whether or not if it is I don't know.
And President of the Public Service Union, Errol Boucher, said the biggest challenge for the union this year is pension reform, in particularly, and that the union have to find ways to navigate this challenge. Boucher said a pension reform, however, must not continue with old behaviors, as there must be greater diligence in the management of pension funds.
It is being said that the NIS is more or less partially responsible for national development. But if you have a pension fund, is that what your pension fund is for? Not saying that you cannot contribute to it, but is it what it's for? And then when you retire, you're being told, well, you can't get it now, you have to wait a little longer. But that's what it's your money that you're putting in there to get at a certain time. Not to be told that, well, it's problematic now. Is it problematic because of what you're doing or what you're not doing? So as workers in this country, as a union, we have to ask the very hard question. The reform of the NIS pension, which must happen, must not just happen and we go back to the same old behavior. There has to be greater diligence on how this fund is managed, because it is our workers, the working class, is who owns the NIS. It is not for the working class to be told that whatever is happening, you don't have to think about that. It's in a problem. So you have to increase the contribution rates, curb the age a little more, put greater penalties on when you can get it early. All of these measures put greater pressure on the workers.
Noting the theme for the PSU's 80th anniversary celebrations, Navigating the Way Forward, Boucher said they are on the verge of bringing a dream to reality to demolish and reconstruct their headquarters.
For the call by many of our workers, public servants in the union, we have already called for this building, and as we move forward, moving forward, we have already called for this building to be demolished. And it is one of our goals this year, the 80th year that we are celebrating the existence of the Public Service Union as a registered trade union. This 80 years that we could demolish this building and begin the construction of a headquarters for the Public Service Union. We are very confident that it can take place this year. In fact, we are very close to realizing that particular dream. And I'm sure those retired public servants who would have served the union would be quite happy to know that we are on the verge of realizing that particular dream that they had and we also have, and the future leaders of the union would be able to see where we have come from.
Venezuela's ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Francisco Perez, said the Petrocaribe program was relaunched to work along with countries in the Caribbean, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On the API's morning SVG program today, Ambassador Perez said the move has enabled Venezuela to send and sell oil to Caribbean countries under good terms.
That measure, and it's more than that we have in our country and our government policy and a program and an institution called Petrocaribe that well, they is to help and to work with the country of the Caribbean, and we relaunch the program, the institution, Petrocaribe, thanks to the job that the Prime Minister is doing here in the Caribbean, and we start sending and selling oil to the Caribbean countries in a very good condition, the same condition that we have in the past. But it's a challenge also to send that oil, no? Because if we send cheap, the government and institution of the United States is hunting that shipment, and well, we have the challenge of the other country have the challenge to receive the money.
Yeah.
And SVG's ambassador to Venezuela, His Excellency Garrett Bino, who was also on the program today, said that there are a number of business opportunities in Venezuela for Vincentians. Ambassador Bino noted that the government of Venezuela has designated several zones in the country for exclusive investments.
Of course, there are always opportunities. And as I said, the climate here, the investment climate, it is the ideal. The country is stable, and I don't know if Francisco remembered last year the government promulgated the Ley Orgánica, which is an organic law, where it would have designated several zones in the country as economic exclusive zones for investment, both locally and also from foreign countries and private companies also. On the smaller scale, yes, there is indeed opportunities for Vincentian businessmen and vice versa for Venezuelan businessmen to visit St. Vincent and the Grenadines and invest in both countries for the shared benefit of our two countries.
Meanwhile, Ambassador Perez noted that there will be a launch of a new airline service between St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Venezuela and Cuba, with the first scheduled flight on March 31st, 2023.
I am glad to announce in your program, it's the first time that we say that Conviasa will open another flight here. 21st of March is the inaugural flight that is through the route of La Habana. So people from St. Vincent and people from Cuba can come and go the same day because the flight will be, the route is Caracas. The flight is leaving at taking off at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's about 3 hours to arrive to Cuba. Then 1 hour there, taking passenger and everything. At 12:30 more or less is going to depart from La Habana and arriving to St. Vincent at 4 o'clock. And then people from St. Vincent can go to Cuba also, because they depart from St. Vincent at 5:30, arrive at more or less it's about 3 hours and a half. So it's about 8 o'clock in the afternoon, and go from Cuba to Caracas. So the route is Caracas, La Habana, St. Vincent, La Habana, Caracas.
In other news, 55 police officers today completed a basic firefighting course, which was the first of its kind for the fire department of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. The aim of the training was to bring everyone up to a particular standard, and some of the topics covered during the training program include fire behavior, self-contained reading apparatus, airport familiarization, ropes and knots, and fire extinguishers.
To have many persons trained in this department is a blessing for all of us. In that, we can now go and teach others what we have been taught. We train ourselves to train others. We realized that there were some weaknesses in the department, or some challenges. Hence the reason for this training also.
And head of the fire department, SOP James, encouraged the participants in the training course to put what they have learned to good use.
What you will have learned over the last 4 days, and this is especially for the young persons because we have some recruits attached to the fire department, and it would have been an eye-opener for you, as well to those of you who would have done training in the past, but in a long time. So I think you should welcome this training, and your knowledge gain for those persons who could not have made it here, because we cannot train the entire fire department at once. So the training would have to be ongoing. So what you would have learned here, I would like you to take it back to your various stations, and you can incorporate that and train the persons who did not make it this time. I thank you again for your participation, and just to remind you that that was just a drop in the bucket. More is to come.
We hear that 3 female entrepreneurs have won the business plan competition held today in the Women's Empowerment Project SVG. The winners are Aficia Clark of Terrick's Poultry Meats, Glendaris Holter of LaBelle Skin House, Nodi Baka Snag of Casa de Snag. The organizers say each of these winners scored the highest points of the 10 finalists when they pitched their business ideas before a panel of 7 judges at the Blue Lagoon Conference Room at Rottermill today. They were assessed in several areas, including a business feasibility, revenue generation, stability, and innovation. They will each receive an award of $26,000 at a prize-giving ceremony next month. The finalists were the entrepreneurial elite group in the final cohort of the Women Empowerment Project, who received business grants of $9,300 earlier this month. Speaking with SVG TV News, the top 3 in the competition say they are proud of their accomplishment.
I cannot believe it. Hard work really pays off, and dedication. And I'm really thankful to Keisha, the CED, the Taiwanese government, for the opportunity so that a small business owner like myself can have the training that is necessary to help me to better my business. So I'm really excited here today. The process was very difficult, I must say, because I had to take time off to, go to the different programs, the training sessions. The night time was really hard. And there were many times when I wanted to give up. But my business consultant, Nisha, she was really helpful. She motivated me, and she helped me to stay focused. And I must thank God for all that He has done for me as well. And my friend Chrissy, who I met on the program, she would have helped me by motivating me a lot as well. So this program was not just about gaining knowledge, but it was about making friends and see how we can help each other as small business owners. So I'm really excited here today.
So during these training sessions, it was quite difficult. It was a matter of balancing time, family life, and business time. Especially the night sessions, it was quite difficult because I am a single parent and I have 2 children. So balancing the time between staying away from them and shuttling work and home was quite difficult. But all in all, it became successful. Before, I was confident about my business and my business idea, but after the training, I became even more confident because the resources that were presented were very helpful and useful. I was able to implement them and implement some of the strategies in my business as well. Through it all, difficulties come about for a purpose and for a reason, and there's always something to learn from it. Keep pushing, keep striving for your goal, keep going for your passion, and just never give up.
And at Casa de Snag, we ensure that it's always service with a smile that makes your stay worthwhile. Casa de Snag, of course, business is always made simple. And I want to say thank you, especially to CD today, for the training gain I am overjoyed, I'm elated, lots of hard work today, and it paid off. And I know for sure, with God, all things are possible. Yes, I am a winner today, and it was really hard work, but sacrifice, it made the difference. And I want to say thank you again to CED and the Taiwanese team for a job well done putting on this program, and all my hard-working, phenomenal, empowered ladies today. We're all winners in our own right.
And the Women Empowerment Project, which is funded by the Republic of China and Taiwan and implemented through the Taiwan Technical Mission and the Center for Enterprise Development, Inc., began on August 2021 as part of an initiative entitled Assisting the Economic Empowerment of Women in Latin America and the Caribbean in the Post-Pandemic of COVID-19. The objective is to boost the country's economy following the impact of the pandemic and maintain social stability by strengthening women's economic empowerment through employment and entrepreneurship. As people around the world continue to observe Black History Month, two local teachers and PhD candidates, Afi Martin of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Grammar School and Ayana Bob of the Sandy Bay Secondary School, on a program on VC3 earlier this week, spoke on the challenges facing the classroom to keep students intrigued with their own history.
What I try to do, though, the method that I've been using because of the limitation, and then there's so much issues in getting permission to carry students on field trips and so on, I tend to have conversation with my students. So I try my best as much as to try and relate what we're living now with what I'm trying to tell them about what happened in the past. Sometimes it flies over some of them head, and sometimes some would be like, "Miss, that is true." So I remember I was telling them, I was talking to my farm tools, and I was talking to them about the Garifuna. I think we were talking about the Carib War and the Bloody Bridge, yes. And I was telling them what I know, right? What I would have heard other persons, the older persons would have said. Nothing I've read it, because I've not read anything about it. And I remember one of them, when I was talking, I remember one of them from the area, from Point, he said, "Miss, do you know," well, of course, not in standard English, but "do you know that at night there is this white blanket that does be over the same place we were talking about the bridge?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I went back, and I remember going back to my principal, because he's the one who really feeds me the information. He and Taju. And I remember going back to them, and so they were telling me, yes, there is a story that is going around about the white blanket. They're saying that whoever died, they have a white blanket that covers. So I said, these kids know, and it went on to that where they were talking about the cannonballs. Apparently there are some cannonballs that are in Owia. They mentioned that there is one there. So those kind of things I try and do and get them soaked up into the history.
Bob says it is important to have a space created, whether it is a month or a day designated, to keep the conversation going about our history, as she noted the importance of the National Heroes and Heritage Month celebrations in March annually.
February being a month as Black History Month, I think the focus more is on I think it's because it's a connection with the United States and so on. I think it's more we would more be looking at the UPCAs, we're looking at the Blacks, we're looking at the YSGs. Mm-hmm. Those are some movements that we had inside. Looking back, peeping back and seeing where we have come from to where we are. Not that I want to be prejudicial or discriminate or anything, but it's more like an Afrocentric kind of thing, more. But then when we move over to March 14th, I think there is a more of an alliance with the Garifuna. We have a pull of the Garifuna in, because of course our first national and only national hero right now is Joseph Chatwell. So there is where now this more for us, February 14th for us is bigger, because we now have not just the Kalinagos, but there is now a mixture of the Kalinagos, the Garifuna, and when we talk about Garifuna, we're also talking about the African part of it, blend with the Kalinagos. So for me, my I tend to celebrate February 14th, not February 14th, March 14th on a bigger scale than I would on the February. While both are important, I think the March 14th more resides with us locally because it fuses almost every race that we have here.
To further engender pride in our identity, the history teachers voiced their agreement with an Afro Day celebration here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I think it is needed because I don't think there is a connection. We are Caribbean people, yes, but we cannot talk Caribbean without talking about being African, and we can't talk Vincentian without not talking about being Garifuna, yes. So understanding where we are from, understanding why we are here, and what is there for us is quite important. So that Afro Day would be a big thing. We get to express ourselves. We'll be okay with understanding that our skin is dark and it's sexy. It's okay. Beautiful. We don't need to bleach and everybody needs to look the same. I personally think that I will welcome, trust me, I will welcome an idea like that.
I can welcome it. I welcome it as well. Again, you have to create a space if you want people to understand and develop an appreciation of who they are, where they're from, why it is important to just be comfortable in your own skin. So if they can be influenced by the L'Oreal and the Maybelline and the Mayfair, you could be influenced by the Fenty and the Jet and the Essence, and so I welcome it. You have to create a space if you want to see things change.